What up, guys? That Comic Awesome here, doing another review, doing Amazing Spider-Man number 797. So we only have 3 more issues left of Dan Slott writing Spider-Man. And this is part 1 of the Going Down Swinging storyline, which kind of is more of a continuation of the Threat Level Red or Code Red, which showed Norman Osborn gaining possession of the Carnage symbiote, which, the last story arc only kind of showed like little hints in clips. This one definitely shows more of Norman. In fact, this is I actually really liked this book. This is probably one of the better Spider-Man stories, guest starring Spider-Man. And I say guest starring because he literally is only in 7 pages of this book. Other than that, I would say Norman Osborn is the star of this book. And it's done very well that he is super creepy. So let's kind of jump in. You have the catch-up page, and you get all the guest stars. So you get the guest star of Spider-Man, the guest star of Mary Jane, guest star of Flash Thompson, and the guest star of Norman Osborn. And they make up the cast of this book because each one of those is equal billing, not Spider-Man. No, equal billing. Oh, and I like this too, this ad for the Exiles, because if you blink, don't blink or you'll miss them. Because more than likely, this book's already canceled. Gosh, this looks awful. Looks so awful. So you get this really good setup with this kind of creepy setup, or not a, what is it, a establishing shot. A great creepy establishing shot with Norman Osborn, and he is interrogating someone, and you don't know who he's interrogating. You do find out at the end of the book. I'm not going to spoil who he's interrogating, but through the course of the book, I suspected a couple different people to which he could be interrogating, and by the end, I was completely wrong. It was somebody else, but it was very satisfying. So essentially, he has this person, and he wants information about Spider-Man, and he's going to get it any way possible, and being super creepy about it. And I don't like this 4 hours ago either, because they used 4 hours ago with like 3 different times a day. Like right now, you can kind of clearly see maybe it's like early morning, like a dawnish type, but like it's dark out. But then you get this really great, good art. It's Peter and Mary Jane, what every Spider-Man fan wants. But then what happens? So leading up to this, and in a lot of the groups and stuff on Twitter and online, everyone pretty much knew that they were going to pull the rug out from under fans on this. That this was just a giant tease, and no, of course, Mary Jane and Peter are not going to be back together. But I will say, credit to Dan Slott, they did it in a much better way than I thought they were going to. So they're kissing and making out, and Peter's getting a little handsy. I hope he asked for consent on that. But she's unbuttoning his shirt, and she sees the Spider-Man suit, and she's like, no, I can't do this again. And he's like, what? But you know how much that means to me. And she says, you know, that's the point. I know all it takes is an alarm, a scream, some late breaking news. I turn around, you're gone. That's what Spider-Man is to me. Waking up in a bed empty, or worse, not sleeping because I don't know if you're alive or dead. So she's pretty much saying, like, look, I can't be with you as Spider-Man, which is respectable, because she says it's, she can't tell him to not be Spider-Man, because that's not fair to him and the city, because the city needs Spider-Man. But it's not fair to her to sit there and kind of have anxiety about him being in danger or, again, being dead somewhere. So she's kind of like, look, this isn't going to work out. I'm always going to love you, but he says, I get it. There's no going back. I should go. But then I didn't get this. She's like, could you walk through the window? No one saw you come in, and I work with Stark. He works with superheroes. My life right now, it'd be easier to explain Spidey dropping by than my ex. And it's like, really? Like, hey, Peter Parker of the science column at the Bugle wanted an exclusive interview with Mary Jane Watson, who works for Stark. No, that's a fairly easy reason for Peter Parker being at your apartment at some point. Not, no, why'd Spider-Man drop by? Because superheroes and stuff. So that was like a completely lame excuse. But then you get some awesome art with kind of Spidey swinging off, and she's like, "Sorry, Tiger." But then you see old Normie kind of spying on him. So then again, you kind of get like he's back to his interrogation, and he's trying to now piece together like what Spider-Man has to do with Mary Jane, which is a vicious combo. So you kind of get some flashes of Carnage. They never really show him. But then, okay, you're back to some classic Spidey action. I did like this like kind of action shot. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of Todd McFarlane with the webbing and the posing, but like more of the modern with like the glossed suit that kind of is more edged than form fitting. So he stops this criminal. You get some kind of witty banter, but I thought like this was a little, again, it's one of those like, Dan, let's talk. You're not funny. Like I feel that somebody, it's like it would be like Mark Waid trying to be funny. Like, you're not funny. Like, don't try and be funny, because it just comes off as like desperate. So Spidey, this guy snatches this woman's purse. Spidey does the Spidey thing. He grabs his arm, strings him up, and the guy goes, "What the hell, Spidey? This is the 5th time we've done this. I've got rotator cuff injuries in this arm. I'm going to be in physical therapy for weeks." And he's like, "Sorry, Jimmy. Didn't see it was you." He's like, "Next time, center the back or a web net, promise." If you could afford PT, why are you snatching purses? And if you're snatching purses, why are you complaining that you're getting strung up by the arm? Dumb, not funny. But yeah, then this is like the last you see of Spider-Man. He kind of goes into the Bugle. JJ is now kind of writing a blog, I guess, about the underbelly of the city. But he knows Parker is Spider-Man, and he kind of sees that as his end. So he keeps calling him, and he's like, let me, what's the skinny on the battle with like the Goblin King? Like, give me all the details. My readers need to know. And he's like, "Look, that's not how this works." And again, this is more Dan not being funny. Gotta go. I'm out of phone web data. Minutes later. Anyway. So then you kind of see like back to Norman. Again, the Norman parts of this book are probably the most interesting. I'm not going to go into all of the dialogue, but it is very creepy and enjoyable. You kind of see that he has this like crazy web of like all these connections to Spider-Man, and he kind of even starts going through them. He's like, Robertson, Parker, Brant, Urich, that stupid Threats and Menace blog, that's JJ's blog, the Watson Woman, Empire State University, Harry, My Own Beloved Son, Horizon, Max Modell, Midtown High, the Thompson Boy, Alchemax, and Liz Allen, the mother of my grandson, or my grandchildren. So he's kind of going through like, hey, all of these people are somehow connected to Spider-Man. So, you know, he's like, I'll crack this with your help. I'll figure it out. And never. And he's like, and then finally, Spider-Man no more. Spider-Man no more. Maybe that's a nice little hint. You know, I know it's a callback, but maybe it's a hint of something that will be coming up once we get off of Dan Slott's run. We get, again, some stuff with Flash Thompson pretty much now being the cleanup person for Alchemax, being Agent Anti-Venom, and then Harry Osborn and his two sons, who is Liz's ex-husband, at the park playing, and you get kind of Norman creeping on the shadows. Then we go back. We get some really good... I did like this with the Goblin King. There's a little confrontation between him and Norman. You know what? I'll go one more page just because I want to show this. And he just kind of guts him right through. I liked it. Again, my biggest problem with Dan Slott's even just this latest issue of Dan Slott's run of Spider-Man is that Spider-Man is not the main character. He never is the main character. He's always like a side character to a story. Like, it's like, hey, here's an interesting story, but the interesting story just happens to have like a little Spider-Man speckled in here and there. And that's what this is. It's a really cool story with just a little bit of Spider-Man dabbled in and out of it. But yeah, that's what I think. Subscribe over here, watch some more videos, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time.